What's up, everybody? Dope666 here, and welcome to my October 10th horror movie Blu-ray and DVD update. Today's soundtrack is Davidian. I picked this album up somewhere. I actually picked it up in Salt Lake City in Utah while I was on a recent run. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to find any of their online links or anything, but if I can, it'll certainly be in the description, like usual for the music for the update. Anyways, got a completely 70s update today. It is a little bit smaller than usual, like I told you guys, but it's a very good update, and lots of films that I really enjoyed. Can't wait to talk about them. You guys know how I like to start her off. Got a little bit of Elysian Night Owl. So cheers, everybody. And cheers once again, guys. Big shout out to the band Andrew and the Cockblockers. Been playing with them a lot with my band Braineater lately, and they gifted us some bud, the very bud that I'm smoking, so thank you guys. Alright, so yeah, let's just get right into it. First one we have here is $5 for an August Moon by Mario Bava. Arguably the very worst Mario Bava film. Not that I think it is all that bad overall for what it is. Apparently this was a very rushed feature, and most of his usual people that he would work with were not a part of this. He did have, I think, maybe one or two people that he was familiar with on this production. And it shows. It's a very dry giallo from 1970. All off-screen killings and, mainly just a very dialogue-ridden, dry affair. But for the giallo lovers, I would say definitely worth, checking out once. I enjoyed it. Got another giallo from 1970. We have the Redemption Snapper case of Cold Eyes of Fear. This is a British slasher, I believe. I believe so. It is set in London. I'm not sure if it's actually shot there. It appears to be, though, at least partially. But regardless, this movie is also somewhat dry. I would, kind of label it more of a crime drama. I know that the director is actually he's actually made some more crime drama, sort of movies around this time as well, perhaps even a little earlier than this film. But I don't know, I still like giallos. They definitely birthed the slasher films that I'm so, head over heels for. So I find a lot of value in checking out the early proto-slasher sort of stuff like this. So always good to have a Redemption Snapper case too, that's pretty cool. Alright. This one's not necessarily horror. It's a Disney film. I know this is from the 70s, but I'm not quite sure what year. But this is Disney's The Black Hole. This is more of a sci-fi sort of thing, but there are some horror elements. It's definitely horror adjacent. I really enjoyed it. 70s Disney is kind of hit or miss, and I really enjoyed this one. Alright. We have got a Severin release here of Psychomania from 1972. This is the Suicide Biker Gang movie. I don't know what else to really call it. It kind of plays like a slasher, but it's got a lot of different weird elements going on. Very charming, weird, obscure little 70s flick. I used to watch this quite a bit. My parents used to have a TiVo, and when they upgraded to whatever they got after that, they gave it to me, so I set it up in the garage as a kid and taped tons of horror movies on whatever channel was available out there. And this was one of them. And I would just, watch the recording of this quite a bit. And happy to have it finally on physical format. Alright, got a couple Blu-rays for the update, guys. It's going to be Don't Be Afraid of the Dark from 1973, I believe. Is it really? Yeah, 1973. This is a very, very short but very good TV movie. Very fond of this. You guys might know the Guillermo del Toro remake that came out maybe 10 years ago or so. I do like this a little bit better, but both are good. Definitely a must-see for people that like TV horror. and just a cool, creepy house movie, you know, that sort of becomes a creature feature. Very good. Happy to have it. Okay. This was recommended by my buddy JP, so shout out to him. I snagged this Blu-ray online. It was very cheap when I looked it up. I didn't know about this film, but I saw Hal Holbrook, and I was just like, alright, I gotta give it a go. So, this is an extremely, extremely good, full-on early slasher from the 70s, in the woods sort of setting. Very close and similar to Deliverance, but much more prone to slasher elements, you know, all around. And quite a good ending, just great acting, in my opinion. So, yeah, very, very happy to own this one. I've watched this quite a bit since I got it. So, there it is. Rituals. 1976, it says. Alright, back to some DVDs. The very next year, in 1977, we have Cathy's Curse. I know that this artwork is kind of misleading. There's nothing like this in the movie. This is a very, very bad, beat-up transfer of the movie Cathy's Curse from 1977. It's a very strange dollar release. I'm not really sure, but the movie is indeed intact. It's a pretty interesting, like, possession sort of flick. I would say it's very similar to, like, Beyond the Door and stuff that's really similar to that, but I don't believe that this is Italian by any means. I actually, I think this may be American-made, but I'm not really sure. But regardless, interesting, creepy little flick. I would be very interested to see a much better version of it, because this one is just tossed. The soundtrack isn't great. The picture is absolutely horrendous, and it deserves better. So hopefully we'll find that at some point. Cool to have regardless. Alright, you guys know I have to include some Trash Palace in the update. We have Something Creeping in the Dark from 1970 as well. This is... it's got a lot of things going on as well. It's kind of proto-slashery. It's kind of giallo-ish. It's got some haunted house vibes and some possession vibes. Like, there's a whole lot going on here. And because of that, even though it's kind of incohesive and extremely sleazy, it definitely has some very creepy moments, and I really liked it a lot. I thought that the house they shot in it was totally creepy, and if you like old, like, 50s and 60s gothic horror with a sleazy side, this is definitely for you. Like, definitely lots of TNA and sex scenes, too. Alright, we have got a textbook slasher here. Lots of plot holes, lots of great kills, and, you know, just pure late 70s, early 80s style madness. Pretty great movie here. We have The Redeemer. This is the Code Red DVD, and doesn't have a ton of extras or anything on it, but it does have a decent transfer, even though they do have the disclaimer at the beginning of the film that it's not up to Code Red standards. They still, you know, were coerced into putting it out regardless by the fans. So I'm very happy to have it. Hopefully at some point they're able to locate, you know, better transfers, or, you know, can do a scan on a better, you know, specimen of the film itself. But we'll see, we'll see. I did really like this. It's definitely not fantastic or anything, but I compare it fondly to, like, Evil Laugh, or like a more serious Slaughter High sort of vibe. Definitely not that sort of, well, I guess it kind of does have that sort of atmosphere to it, because they do kind of just return to their old school. It's kind of like a class reunion sort of thing. So I would definitely check it out. If you're a big slasher person like I am, this is a must-see for sure. Alright, and you guys know in October I like to have at least one movie for set on Halloween per update. So today we have John Candy in The Clown Murders from 1976. This is another really interesting slasher movie. Lots of really goofy and comedic relief elements in this film. The soundtrack's pretty wacky. The acting is hit and miss with a lot of people, but there are some cool kills. There is some pretty creepy atmosphere, and I think that the twist is actually half decent for such an early flick. So, what's not to love? Very, very early classic slasher film, and happy to have it. And that's going to wrap it up, guys. That's the whole update. So I'm going to be back at least 1 or 2 more times. I would say at least 2 more times, honestly, with updates this month. Hopefully I can sneak in something else, horror related. I know you guys, if you're not necessarily here for all the music stuff that I post on this channel, I am gearing up to launch another channel that will hold all of the music eventually, so you can go subscribe to that or not subscribe to that, you know, whether or not you like it or not. But I do plan to kind of split the content eventually. But for now, it's kind of just keeping me, you know, busy enough to keep the channel going. And when I have more time to focus on YouTube, that's probably when when that will all happen. Probably sometime next year. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed the soundtrack by Davidian. And I will see you guys ASAP. Go watch some horror films. Happy October, y'all.